We could go many different ways, but I really want to talk about this main topic, that the main theme of today, this kindness is free. Tell us a little bit more about this movement that you created.
Well, Kindness is Free has been the story of my life. I wrote a book back in 2018 after my Globetrotter career ended. And the funny thing about the book is that over the course of 18 years, every time that I would come home off of a 4 to 5 month tour coming from different parts of the world, I would sit down and I would share with a lot of my friends because they wanted to hear these stories because they're living vicariously through my travels. And I would just share them, with some of the stories of things that I experienced during my travels. And after every year, I'd have friends that say, "Man, you should write a book. You should write a book. People need to hear about this." And so my career actually came to an end. I had a time to sit down and reflect and realize how fortunate I had been to experience many of the experience that I had and meet the people that I, met around the world. And again, for me, it started out when I was a young boy growing up in Arkansas. I think about my grandmother who didn't always have all the necessities or all the wants that one may desire in life, but she was just a good person who I often followed behind walking around our town. And, she checked on elderly people many times at no cost just to make sure that people were good because she cared about human beings. And it just taught me a lot. I went into homes of people who had an abundance of wealth. I went into homes of people who had, barely had any electricity in their homes. But at the end of the day, she treated everybody the same. And my experience traveling around the world magnified that even more. And as I began to travel around the world, more so probably when my Globetrotter career started, I began to realize that around the world when we travel, we actually have more in common than we think. I realized that many of the things, especially the negative things that we're taught, are things that are passed down. And I think it's important for us to break these stigmas and go out and develop on our own. One of the things I'm very adamant about is get a passport. When I first traveled abroad, the first countries that I visited Belgium, I visited France, and I visited Germany. And the things I'd heard about Germany over the course of my young life were things that, kind of put fear into my heart. But at the same time, being able to go and set foot in some of these places on my own and experience the people, I began to realize again that we have more in common than we imagined. And kindness is the thing that stood out over everything. And as I began to really, really enjoy my ambassadorship of being goodwill, because as Harlem Globetrotters, we are considered ambassadors of goodwill, I really began to understand what that really meant. And I began to make friends. I began to make friends with people who I could barely even communicate with. I mean, not even speaking the same language, but being able to be demonstrative, even attempt to speak some of the different languages. People appreciated that. And what I developed over the course of my career was bonds with people from all different parts of the world. And being able to travel to almost 90 different countries around the world, people looked out for me. People took care of me. People looked forward to the next time that we would get to see each other for that next tour that could be a year from now or 2 years from now. But ultimately, at the core of it, traveling around the world, I just learned that people are kind if we give them a chance. And if we treat people even better than we can expect to be treated, we'll get the same thing in return. And it's not necessarily even that we'll get the same thing in return, but being able to just love on people and form your own opinions is something that I feel very strongly about. And I feel like it's a blessing, to have had these experiences. And all of the reasons why I love going around and speaking and sharing is because I feel like the gifts that I've been given, be it athletic, be it mental, or being, able to connect, I feel like it's a sin, to God in the universe if I don't share these experiences with so many other people so they can help shape and mold their, unbiased, so to speak, opinions.